It is 30 minutes past 8 on a Tuesday night, and the wind on the rooftop of the summit cuts through my designer blazer like a knife made of January air. Below me, Manhattan spreads out in a glittering grid of ambition yellow cabs threading through streets, office towers blazing with late-night greed. The kind of view that costs $500 per glass of wine to witness. I'm holding that glass now, vintage Cabernet, the color of old money, watching it ripple as my hand trembles slightly in the cold. This party is mine, all mine. 50 guests from the financial elite, celebrating my secret promotion to VP at Carmichael & Associates. At 30 years old, I've just secured a position most people spend 2 decades clawing toward. The firm manages $3.7 billion in assets, and now I'm one of 5 people with signing authority. I should feel triumphant. Instead, I feel hollow. 2 weeks ago, I invited my parents and my sister Madison to celebrate my 30th birthday at a pizza place in Brooklyn. Not fancy, I wanted it casual, comfortable, family. They flaked. Madison needed healing time in Aspen, after getting fired from her 3rd marketing job in 2 years. Mom said, and I can still hear her voice perfectly, "We need to support your sister right now, Natasha. You're independent. You don't need us." So, I rented this rooftop to prove she was right, to prove I didn't need them, to celebrate alone, surrounded by colleagues and clients who respect my work but don't really know me. The irony tastes more bitter than the wine. The elevator chimes. 4 men step out. They're wearing suits, but not the kind you see at parties like this. These are off the rack, functional, forgettable. The kind designed to blend in anywhere while screaming federal agent to anyone paying attention. They move through the crowd with military precision, and I watch their trajectory with growing dread because I can see exactly where they're headed. Toward me. They box me in against the glass railing, cutting off every escape route with the practiced efficiency of people who've done this 1,000 times. The lead agent is tall, gray-haired, with eyes like a balance sheet, cold, analytical, missing nothing. Natasha Hill. It's not a question. He flashes a badge, and I catch the words Federal Bureau of Investigation before he continues. You're being detained under the Espionage Act. We detected a physical breach at your Hill Industrial Facility. Secure communications suggest you sold access code protocols to a third party. The world tilts. Espionage Act. Those words don't belong in my life. I invest in industrial real estate. I flip warehouses. I run a quiet side business, managing server farms for defense contractors. Everything is legal, licensed, compartmentalized. Everything is. I didn't sell anything, I managed to say, but my voice sounds distant, like it's coming from underwater. You'll have an opportunity to explain that, Agent Miller says, reading my thoughts from my employee ID badge still clipped to my blazer. Right now, you're coming with us. My colleagues are staring. James Carmichael, the senior partner, looks horrified. The clients I've spent months courting are pulling out their phones, probably already drafting emails to distance themselves from whatever scandal I'm about to become. My career is dying in real time, suffocating under the weight of assumptions and liability concerns. They escort me to the service elevator. No handcuffs, that's something, at least. But the message is clear. I'm not under arrest, but I'm absolutely not free. We descend 43 floors in silence, broken only by the pneumatic hiss of the elevator and the hammering of my pulse. The alley behind the building smells like garbage and rain. Parked between 2 dumpsters is a vehicle that looks like a black armored truck mated with a mobile command center. The acronym SCIF floats through my memory from some defense contract briefing. Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility. A portable room designed to prevent any signal from getting in or out. This is real. This is happening. They lead me inside, and the door seals with a sound like a bank vault closing. The interior is cramped, clinical, packed with monitors and communications equipment. There's a metal table bolted to the floor and 2 chairs that look distinctly uncomfortable. Everything is gray or black. Everything is cold. Sit, Miller says, and I sit. Another agent, younger, starts setting up recording equipment. Miller places a tablet on the table between us, and I can see surveillance feeds multiple angles of a building I recognize with a sick jolt of understanding. The gray box. My warehouse. Except it's not really a warehouse. At 2020 Eastern Standard Time, we detected an unauthorized breach at the facility registered to Hill Industrial Holdings, Miller continues, his tone flat, procedural. This facility houses server infrastructure for multiple Department of Defense subcontractors. The breach triggered a silent alarm connected to FBI Cyber Division. 3 minutes ago, we observed 2 individuals cutting through the secondary lock. He slides the tablet toward me. On the screen, I can see 2 figures in hoodies using bolt cutters on a heavy-duty padlock. The live timestamp reads 20 hours 40 minutes and 15 seconds EST. That's happening right now, I whisper. That's happening right now. Miller confirms. And earlier today, we intercepted communications suggesting you facilitated this breach. So I'll ask you directly, Miss Hill, who did you sell access to? I didn't sell access to anyone. I would never. My phone vibrates in my jacket pocket. The agent who patted me down earlier must have missed it, or maybe they left it deliberately. Miller glances at it. Check it, he says. I pull out my phone with shaking hands. There's a text message from Madison, sent at 20:20 p.m. EST. I open it, and the words are so absurd, so catastrophically wrong, that I have to read them 3 times before they make sense. Madison, money received, just sold your rusty old storage unit to QuickFlip. $350,000 cash wired. They wanted it tonight. Don't worry. I put the money in the family trust for my startup. You're welcome. For a moment, I can't breathe, can't think, can't process what I'm reading. Then I look up at Agent Miller, and I can feel something shifting in my chest. Not panic anymore. Something colder, something sharper. I didn't sell state secrets, I say slowly, each word precise as a surgical cut. My idiot sister just sold the building to a predatory wholesaler for the price of a used Ferrari. Miller reads the text. His expression doesn't change, but I see the subtle shift in his posture. The tension in the room rotates on its axis. I'm no longer the primary suspect. I'm a victim of identity theft who happens to own a federal security asset. This changes everything. 5 minutes have passed inside the skiff, but it feels like hours. Agent Miller leans back in his chair, calculating. The other agents are making phone calls, coordinating something I can't quite hear. The surveillance feeds on the tablet show the 2 figures at my warehouse still working on the lock. Explain the asset, Miller says. I take a breath, organizing my thoughts. This is like explaining a magic trick. The effect is impressive, but the method is mundane once you understand it. 6 years ago, I bought that property for $800,000. It's in an industrial zone 40 minutes outside the city. No residential neighbors, no foot traffic, no reason for anyone to drive past it unless they're specifically going there. To my sister Madison, who visited exactly once when I bought it, it looks like an abandoned warehouse. Concrete walls, no windows, no signage, surrounded by a chain-link fence. She called it a dump and never went back. Miller is watching me carefully. But it's not a dump. It's a gray box, I say, using the industry term. A secure server facility for defense contractors who need off-site backup infrastructure. The building has no windows because windows are a security liability. They allow visual surveillance and potential sniper angles. There's no signage because the whole point is operational security. The passive security, Madison saw just a fence, and cameras is deliberate. Armed guards attract attention. An unmarked building in an industrial zone doesn't. And QuickFlip? Miller prompts. I pull up my email on my phone, finding the message I'd flagged last week but hadn't had time to investigate. QuickFlip Ventures is a real estate wholesaling company. They specialize in distressed properties, foreclosures, abandoned buildings, estate sales. 1 week ago, they used satellite imagery to scout the area. I show Miller the email, a cold outreach, asking if I'd be interested in selling. I'd responded with a polite no and thought that was the end of it. What do they see in satellite photos? Miller asks. Industrial cooling towers, high-grade HVAC systems. The kind of infrastructure you'd need for a massive server farm. I meet his eyes. They think it's a private crypto mining facility. Millions of dollars in equipment, abandoned or forgotten, just sitting there waiting to be salvaged. Understanding crosses Miller's face. They're not trying to breach a government facility. They're trying to loot what they think is private property before the owner notices. Exactly. They probably planned to strip the cooling systems, steal the servers, and disappear before I could file a police report. What they don't know is that cutting that lock triggered a federal alarm tied to counterintelligence monitoring. Miller taps something on his tablet. We have a tactical team en route. They'll be on site in approximately 8 minutes. He pauses. Quick Flip is about to have a very bad night. There's something almost satisfying about that image, thieves breaking into what they think is an abandoned building, only to find themselves surrounded by federal agents. But the satisfaction is quickly swallowed by a darker realization. Madison committed wire fraud, I say quietly. And identity theft. Yes, Miller agrees. To execute a sale, she would have needed to forge corporate documents, sign contracts in your name, and wire transfer the proceeds. That's multiple federal crimes. I should feel something fear for my sister, guilt, familial obligation. Instead, I feel nothing but a cold, distant curiosity about what happens next. Maybe I'm in shock. Maybe I've finally run out of emotional capacity for a family that's never shown up for me. I need to check my voicemail, I say. Miller nods, and I navigate to my messages. There's one from Mom, sent at 19:50 p.m. EST, half an hour before the sale closed. It's marked as a voice note sent to the family group chat. I almost don't want to listen to it. Some instinct is warning me that whatever's on this recording will change something fundamental. I press play. Mom's voice fills the cramped skiff, and I realize immediately that she doesn't know she's recording. She's talking to Dad in the background, her words slightly muffled but perfectly clear. I blocked Natasha so she can't whine about this. Just sell the warehouse, Madison. She's hoarding that junk while you suffer. Consider it restitution for us raising such a selfish daughter. The recording continues something about how I've always been difficult, how I never needed them the way Madison does, how it's only fair that the golden child gets something for once. Then it cuts off. I sit very still. Something inside me, something I've carried my entire life, simply stops. It's like a motor that's been running constantly, so constant I didn't even notice the noise until it ceased. That desperate, aching need for my parents' approval, the voice that always wondered if maybe I could just be better, work harder, achieve more, and then they'd finally see me, that voice goes silent. They didn't just steal from me, they felt entitled to rob me. They called it restitution, for raising me. Miss Hill? Miller's voice sounds distant. I look up at him, and I can feel my expression settling into something new, something colder. My mother just admitted to conspiracy to commit wire fraud on a recorded line. She blocked my number so I couldn't interfere, then encouraged Madison to sell property she knew wasn't theirs. Miller and the other agents exchange glances. The younger agent makes a note. To clear your name completely and secure the facility, we need Madison's confession on record. Miller says carefully, we have the text message, but a recorded admission would make the case airtight. I understand what he's asking. He wants me to call Madison and get her to incriminate herself while the FBI listens. Part of me knows I should feel conflicted about this. The old Natasha, the one who existed 15 minutes ago, would have agonized over betraying family. But that Natasha heard restitution for raising such a selfish daughter. That Natasha is dead. I'll need my attorney on standby, I say calmly. Ethan Vance. He specializes in corporate fraud cases. Miller nods. We can conference him in. While they set up the call with Ethan, I pull up my digital LLC records on my phone, incorporation documents, tax filings, property deeds, all stored in encrypted cloud storage. Everything proves I'm the sole owner of Hill Industrial Holdings. Everything proves Madison had no authority to sell anything. Ethan answers on the second ring. I give him the abbreviated version: FBI detention, sister sold federal security asset, need to trap her on recording. To his credit, he doesn't waste time with questions. I'll monitor the call, don't admit to anything, let them talk. Miller connects my phone to the FBI's forensic recording system. Every word of the upcoming conversation will be documented, time-stamped, legally admissible. Make the call, Miller says. I pull up Madison's contact and switch to FaceTime. My finger hovers over the call button for just a moment. This is the point of no return. Once I make this call, I'm not just cooperating with the FBI, I'm actively participating in my family's destruction. I think about the voicemail. Restitution for raising such a selfish daughter. I press the button. The FaceTime call connects after 3 rings, bridging the distance between 2 very different worlds. The screen fills with warmth and light, and the contrast is so jarring I almost flinch. I'm in a dark, cramped, sterile FBI command vehicle parked in a New York alley at night. The air smells like electronics and cold metal. The only light comes from the surveillance monitors casting everything in shades of blue and gray. Madison is in a luxury log cabin in Aspen, Colorado. Because Aspen is 2 hours behind New York, it's 7 there. Outside the massive windows behind my sister, the last of the alpine twilight is fading into a deep, bruised purple against the snow. Inside, however, is a world of golden warmth. There's a fire crackling in a stone fireplace. She's wearing a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than my first car, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her skin glowing with the kind of relaxation that comes from spa treatments, and absolutely zero consequences. She's celebrating. Natasha. She grins at the camera, and I can see she's already a few glasses deep. Did you get my text? Pretty amazing, right? I basically just made you $350,000. Usually, when my family dismisses me, or takes credit for my work, I get defensive. I stutter. I try to explain. Sometimes I cry. Tonight, I'm ice. Madison, did you physically go to the property before you sold it? My voice is level, almost curious. She laughs. Why would I? I saw it 6 years ago when you bought it. Total dump. Honestly, I'm impressed QuickFlip even wanted it. She takes a sip of champagne. I did everything online. Found the old LLC paperwork in mom and dad's safe, created a corporate resolution authorizing the sale, signed your name, and boom, easiest $350K ever. In the skiff, Agent Miller's pen moves across his notepad. Madison just admitted to document forgery and identity theft on a federally recorded line. You faked a corporate resolution? I ask, my tone still neutral, just seeking clarity. It wasn't hard, Madison says, and I can hear the pride in her voice. I used DocuSign and a template I found online. QuickFlip never even questioned it. They were so excited to get the property, they wired the money within minutes. Every word is another nail in her coffin. Wire fraud, computer fraud. I should probably stop her, warn her, tell her to get a lawyer, but I remember the voicemail. Restitution for raising such a selfish daughter. Madison, that property isn't a dump, I say quietly. It's a windowless concrete box because it's a black site. It hosts servers for Department of Defense contractors. There are no windows to prevent sniper attacks. There's no signage to prevent espionage. 2. Her smile falters. What are you talking about? I saw the satellite images. It's just industrial cooling units and... You saw what QuickFlip wanted you to see. I interrupt. They identified it as a potential crypto mining farm and planned to loot the equipment before I noticed. They cut the perimeter lock approximately 30 minutes ago. Now she's starting to look uncertain. Dad appears in the frame behind her, his face flushed with wine and firelight. Stop lying, Natasha. You're just jealous because Madison actually did something productive for once. His words are slightly slurred. We checked the satellite view. It's a server farm. Madison sold it for scrap value. Honestly, you should be thanking her for finally monetizing that waste of money. I lean forward slightly. Did Mom tell you she sent a voicemail to the family group chat? The one where she said selling my property was restitution for raising me? Dad's expression darkens. Your mother was just, you're always so dramatic, Natasha. So ungrateful. We gave you everything, and this is how you... Agent Miller makes a subtle gesture. On one of the surveillance monitors, I can see new movement at the warehouse. The QuickFlip team has breached the inner door. They're inside now, standing in the entry corridor, probably confused by how clean and operational everything looks for an abandoned building. And then, on the feed, I see the tactical team moving in. Black vehicles, agents in full gear, surrounding the building with the swift precision of a closing fist. This is it. The moment everything goes from theoretical to devastatingly real. The call counter ticks past the 5-minute mark as Mom appears on the screen, squeezing into the frame next to Dad. The three of them are clustered together on a leather sofa that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. The Aspen cabin's warm lighting making them look like a Norman Rockwell painting of family togetherness gone wrong. Natasha, honey, I know you're upset, Mom says, using her syrupy, placating voice. But you have to understand Madison needed this. She's been through so much with losing her job, and you've always been so independent. You don't need that old warehouse. We were helping both of you. By stealing from me? I ask. It's not stealing when it's family, Dad interjects. It's sharing. It's taking care of each other. Something you've never understood. The agents in the skiff are watching this like it's a masterclass in narcissistic family dynamics. The younger agent looks almost uncomfortable, like he's witnessing something too intimate, too raw. Mom continues. And now I can hear the shift in her tone. She's moving from placating to guilting. Besides, we already spent some of the money, sweetie. We put $50,000 down on a luxury RV. It's non-refundable. The dealer made that very clear. If you ruin this deal somehow, if you try to reverse the sale, you'd be stealing from our retirement. Is that really what you want? I let the silence stretch for a moment. Let them think they've made a good point. Then I speak very carefully. You spent stolen money on an RV deposit. That's receiving stolen property under federal law. Depending on how the prosecutor wants to charge it, it could also be money laundering under the RICO statutes. Dad's face goes red. Oh, don't start with your legal nonsense. You're not a lawyer, Natasha. You're just trying to scare us because you're bitter. Actually, Ethan's voice cuts in through the conference line, and I see Madison jump slightly at the unfamiliar sound. She's absolutely correct. Mr. and Mrs. Hill, this is Ethan Vance, Miss Hill's attorney. I'm currently on a recorded line with the FBI. You've just admitted to knowingly spending proceeds from what you believe to be a legitimate sale but was, in fact, a fraudulent transaction. That creates significant legal exposure for you. The color drains from Mom's face. Madison is looking at the screen now, really looking, and I can see her starting to piece things together. The background behind me, the strange acoustics. The fact that I'm not celebrating, not angry, just cold. Quick Flip said it was a private sale. Madison says, her voice rising with panic. They promised to handle all the legal paperwork. They said as long as I had authorization it was fine. They played you, Madison, I say, my voice devoid of sympathy. They preyed on your laziness. They knew if they offered a fast cash closing and promised to handle the legal stuff, you wouldn't ask questions. They wanted to get in and strip the equipment before I noticed. They cut the lock at 2020 Eastern Time. I turn my phone camera slightly, just enough to show Agent Miller's badge and the interior of the mobile command unit. The FBI seal is clearly visible on one of the monitors. I'm not at a party anymore, Madison. I'm in federal custody because your fraudulent sale triggered a terrorism alert on a classified facility. The reaction is immediate and visceral. Madison's champagne glass slips from her hand, spilling golden liquid across the expensive cabin floor. Dad starts to stand, then sits back down. Mom's hand flies to her mouth. That's not possible, Madison stammers. It was just a warehouse. You said it was just for storage. You said, I never told you what I used it for. I correct her. You assumed it was worthless because it looked worthless. That was the entire point of the design. Oh God, Madison whispers. Oh God, oh God. Ethan's voice comes through again, crisp and professional. Mr. and Mrs. Hill, the FBI is currently tracking your location via this call. You've admitted on a recorded federal line to knowingly spending money you believed came from the sale of property you knew you had no legal right to sell. I strongly advise you to retain separate legal counsel immediately and cease making any further statements. But they're not listening to Ethan. They're turning on each other. This is your fault. Dad shouts at Mom. I told you we should have checked with a real lawyer first, but you said it was fine. You said Natasha wouldn't even notice. Don't blame me, Mom shrieks back. You're the one who insisted on the RV. I wanted to wait, but you said we deserved it. You said, both of you, shut up, Madison screams, and there's real terror in her voice now. What do I do, Natasha? What do I do? I should feel something. Triumph, maybe, or guilt, but I just feel empty. Watching my family implode is like watching a building demolition from a safe distance, dramatic, inevitable, and somehow anticlimactic. I can't help you, Madison, I say quietly. You committed federal crimes, wire fraud, identity theft, computer fraud under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. You forged documents, impersonated a corporate officer, and facilitated the breach of a federal security asset. But I didn't know, she wails. I didn't know it was important. You never told me. You never asked, I reply. You assumed. You saw an opportunity to take something that wasn't yours, and you took it. Just like you've been taking credit for my achievements, taking my birthday dinner with our parents, taking my validation for your entire life. The phone is shaking in Madison's hand now. Behind her, I can hear sirens, distant at first, then growing closer. What is that sound? Mom asks, her voice small. That, I say, would be the Aspen Sheriff's Department and FBI field agents. They're coming to arrest Madison for federal crimes committed across state lines. Madison's eyes go wide. She looks at the door, then back at the camera. Natasha, please, please, you have to stop this. We're family. You can't let them. The sound of pounding on the cabin door cuts her off. FBI, open the door! On the surveillance feed in front of me, I watch the parallel scene at the warehouse. SWAT teams swarm the building. The quick flip crew drops their bolt cutters and raises their hands, their faces pale with terror as they realize this isn't a crypto farm. This is something so far beyond their understanding that they can't even begin to calculate the trouble they're in. Both operations happening simultaneously, both traps springing shut at the exact same moment. Madison's screen jerks wildly as agents enter the cabin. I hear her screaming, "I didn't know. It was just a warehouse. I didn't know." An agent's face appears in the camera, professional and distant. Madison Hill, you're under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and violations of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. You have the right to remain silent. The feed shows her being forced to the ground, hands being cuffed behind her back. Mom is crying. Dad is shouting something about lawyers. The warm, twilight glow of the cabin now feels like a spotlight, exposing every ugly truth. And then I hear it, the sound I've been waiting for. No bail will be offered due to flight risk and the sensitive nature of the compromised asset. No bail. Madison will sit in federal custody until trial. The phone feed cuts to black as the agent sees it as evidence. By 10 o'clock, the skiff has fallen quiet except for the hum of electronics and the distant sounds of the city outside. Agent Miller is reviewing notes with another agent. Ethan's voice comes through the speaker, calm and measured. Natasha, are you still there? I'm here, I say. The FBI will need a full statement tomorrow, but you're cleared of all suspicion. I'll handle the civil side. QuickFlip will definitely try to sue for return of the purchase price, and your family will be caught in the middle of that. I think about that for a moment. QuickFlip paid Madison $350,000 for a building she didn't own. Now that the sale is void, they'll want their money back. But Madison put it in the family trust, which really means she and our parents spent it. How much did they spend total? I ask. Ethan rustles some papers. From the recorded call, $50,000 on the RV deposit. So we're looking at $50,000 spent from the $350,000. They're short $50,000, I say slowly, understanding the full picture now. QuickFlip will sue for the full amount. When Madison and my parents can't pay it back, QuickFlip will seek restitution through asset seizure, Ethan finishes. And since your parents admitted on a federal recording that they knowingly participated in spending the proceeds, they're jointly liable. They'll have to liquidate assets to avoid criminal charges for unjust enrichment. Their house, the house I grew up in, the house they're so proud of, the house in the nice neighborhood with the good schools, they'll have to sell it to pay back money they stole from me. I remember Mom's voicemail again. Consider it restitution for us raising such a selfish daughter. Restitution, I murmur. What was that? Ethan asks. Nothing, just irony. Agent Miller disconnects from his call and turns to me. Miss Hill, you're free to go. We'll need you to come to the field office tomorrow at 10 a.m. to provide a formal statement. The U.S. attorney will want your testimony for the prosecution. I stand up, my legs stiff from sitting in the cramped space. What happens to Madison? Federal detention facility overnight, then arraignment tomorrow afternoon. Given the nature of the charges and the security implications, I doubt the judge will grant bail. If she pleads guilty and cooperates fully, she's looking at 8 to 10 years. If she fights it and loses at trial, could be 15. 8 to 10 years. Madison is 26 now. She'll be in her mid-30s before she's free. I should feel something about that. Horror, maybe. Guilt. But all I feel is a distant sense of justice being served, like watching a math equation balance correctly. Thank you, Agent Miller, I say. He nods. I'm sorry for the interruption to your evening, Miss Hill. For what it's worth, you have an impressive operation. The facility's security architecture is solid. We'll make sure it stays secure going forward. They open the skiff door, and I step out into the New York night. The alley smells like rain and garbage, but after the recycled air of the command vehicle, it smells like freedom. My phone buzzes with notifications. I'd muted it during the call, but now everything is flooding in. Texts from colleagues asking if I'm okay. An email from James Carmichael asking me to call him immediately. 3 missed calls from the building security at the summit. And 1 notification that makes me stop walking. A request from my bank for authorization to pay a legal retainer for Madison Hill. They want me to pay for her defense attorney. I stare at that notification for a long moment. The old Natasha, the one from this morning, would have agonized over this. Family helps family, right? Even when they've betrayed you. Even when they've called you selfish. Even when they've tried to rob you blind. But I'm not that Natasha anymore. I press decline. Then I block the bank from sending any more requests related to Madison's legal fees. I block Mom's number. I block Dad's number. I block every connection to a family that never saw me as anything more than a resource to be exploited. My phone buzzes again. It's a text from James Carmichael. Call me when you can. We need to talk about tonight. I debate ignoring it, but he deserves an explanation. I call him. Natasha, what the hell happened? He sounds more confused than angry. I give him the sanitized version. My sister committed identity theft and wire fraud. I cooperated with the FBI to resolve it. I'm cleared of all wrongdoing. The firm's name won't be involved in any negative publicity. There's a long pause. Then, Jesus, Natasha. I'm sorry. I can't even imagine. Take tomorrow off. Take the whole week if you need it. We'll handle everything here. Thank you, James. I'll be in on Monday then. One more thing, he says. The partners and I were talking while you were indisposed. The promotion is still happening. The FBI showing up doesn't change the fact that you've earned it. Actually, the way you handled yourself tonight, staying calm, cooperating, protecting the firm, that's exactly the kind of judgment we need in a VP. We're lucky to have you. I close my eyes. Thank you. After we hang up, I stand in the alley for a moment, letting the reality settle over me. I was detained by the FBI, watched my sister get arrested, orchestrated the financial ruin of my parents, and somehow still came out with my career intact. The rooftop party at the summit is probably still going on, but I have no desire to go back. Instead, I start walking toward the subway. My apartment is only 20 minutes away if the trains are running on time. As I walk, my phone buzzes one more time. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me answer. Miss Hill? This is Special Agent Brooke, FBI Cyber Division. Agent Miller asked me to call you. We've secured your facility and removed the Quick Flip team. You'll need to have your security company reset the access codes, but there's no structural damage. The asset is secure. Thank you, Agent Brooke. One more thing, she says. We ran the forensics on Quick Flip's planning documents. They'd been surveilling your property for 3 weeks, waiting for an opportunity. When your sister's fraudulent sale came through, they jumped on it immediately. If you hadn't had the security protocols in place, they would have stripped that facility bare and disappeared. Your preparation saved millions in federal assets. After she hangs up, I think about that. 6 years ago, when I bought that property, I built it exactly right. Unmarked, unassuming. Legally armored with LLCs and federal contracts and silent alarms that would trigger if anyone tried to breach it. Madison thought I was hoarding junk. My parents thought I was being selfish. They never bothered to ask what I was building, what I was protecting, what I'd worked so hard to create. They just assumed I didn't deserve it. I reach the subway entrance and pause at the top of the stairs. Below me, the city continues its eternal motion, trains running, people moving, life happening whether you're ready for it or not. My phone buzzes one final time tonight. It's an email from Quick Flip's legal team, sent to Madison's email but CCing me since my name is on the property records. The subject line is, Immediate demand for return of fraudulent purchase price. I open it and read the first few lines. We have become aware that the sale of the property located at Redacted was executed without proper authorization. We demand immediate return of the full purchase price of $350,000 within 72 hours, or we will pursue all available legal remedies, including but not limited to civil litigation and criminal complaints for fraud. 72 hours. They want their money back in 3 days. Madison doesn't have it. My parents spent $50,000 of it. Even if they liquidate everything immediately, it won't be fast enough. I could help them. I have the money. I could write a check for $350,000 right now and make this all go away for them. But I remember Mom's voice. Restitution for raising such a selfish daughter. I forward the email to Ethan with a single line. I will not be providing financial assistance to resolve this matter. Then I head down into the subway, leaving the cold night air behind. 6 months have passed since that night in the alley. The office is quiet at 7 a.m., the building still half asleep, the morning light just starting to filter through the floor-to-ceiling windows. My coffee is still hot, steam rising from the ceramic mug as I review the quarterly financials for my real estate portfolio. I'm sitting in a corner office on the 42nd floor of a building in Lower Manhattan. The building used to belong to Quick Flip Ventures before they went bankrupt. I bought it at a foreclosure auction for 60 cents on the dollar. The irony isn't lost on me. Quick Flip collapsed under the weight of the federal investigation. It turned out that my facility wasn't the first time they'd used questionable methods to acquire properties. The FBI found evidence of multiple fraudulent transactions, forged documents, and coordination with organized theft rings. The company dissolved within 3 months, and all their assets went to auction. I bought their headquarters building, gutted it, renovated it. And now it houses the expanded offices of Hill Industrial Holdings, along with my new venture capital fund focused on secure infrastructure development. My phone buzzes. It's a news alert. Madison Hill sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for wire fraud. I read the article. She took a plea deal, cooperated with prosecutors, showed appropriate remorse. The judge still gave her 8 years because, as the sentencing memo stated, the defendant's actions compromised national security assets and demonstrated a pattern of entitled disregard for the law. My parents avoided prison by immediately liquidating their house and repaying Quick Flip in full. They also had to pay restitution fines, totaling an additional $75,000 for their role in spending the stolen money. Last I heard, they're living in a 2-bedroom apartment in a suburb 40 miles from the city. Dad took a job as a regional manager at a retail chain. Mom works part-time at a garden center. They call sometimes. Different numbers, borrowed phones, always the same message. Please, Natasha, we're family. We made a mistake. Don't you believe in forgiveness? I changed my number after the 3rd call. The door to my office opens, and my assistant, Claire, pokes her head in. Your 8 a.m. is here early. Should I send her in or have her wait? Send her in, I say. A young woman enters, maybe 23 or 24, wearing a slightly too big blazer and carrying a portfolio that she clutches like a shield. She's nervous. I can tell the way she stands just inside the doorway, uncertain whether to approach my desk or wait for an invitation. Miss Hill, she says. Thank you so much for meeting with me. I'm Mari Brooke. I'm the intern from our satellite office, I finish, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. I know. Sit down, Mari, and call me Natasha. She sits, placing the portfolio carefully on her lap. I wasn't sure if you'd actually want to meet. I know you're busy, and You're just the intern who identified a critical security vulnerability in our Newark facility's access control system. I interrupt. The vulnerability that could have cost us millions if exploited. That's not just anything. She blushes. I was reviewing the security logs and noticed an inconsistency in the timestamp protocols. It seemed like it might be worth mentioning. It was worth a $10,000 bonus, which you should see in your next paycheck. I say. It was also worth this meeting. I wanted to talk to you about your career trajectory here. Her eyes widen. My career? I'm just an intern. I haven't even graduated yet. That's the point, I say. You're smart, you're detail-oriented, and you notice things other people miss. Those are the qualities I hire for. So I'm offering you a full-time position starting after graduation, junior analyst, with a clear path to senior roles if you perform. She stares at me. I don't know what to say. Say yes or no, I reply. But while you're deciding, I want to know something. Do you have family support for this career path? The question catches her off guard. Not really. My parents wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. They think what I'm doing, cybersecurity, risk analysis, isn't prestigious enough. They didn't come to my college graduation last month. There it is. that familiar ache of family disappointment. Let me tell you something, Mari, I say, leaning forward. The people who are supposed to support you, the ones who share your blood, sometimes they're the last ones to see your value. Sometimes they're so invested in who they think you should be that they can't see who you actually are. She nods slowly, and I can see the recognition in her eyes. You don't need their validation, I continue. You need your own standards, your own goals, your own definition of success. Build something so solid, so legally protected, so strategically positioned that nobody can take it from you. Not family, not competitors, not anyone. Is that what you did? She asks quietly. I think about the Gray Box facility, still operating, still secure, now valued at $14 million after I expanded the contracts. I think about this building, bought from the ashes of the company that tried to rob me. I think about the career I built in spaces where nobody expected me to succeed. Yes, I say. That's exactly what I did. She straightens in her chair. Then yes, I accept the position. Good. I stand and extend my hand. She shakes it, her grip firmer now, more confident. Welcome to Hill Industrial Holdings, Mari. I expect great things from you. After she leaves, I turn back to the window. The sun is fully up now, burning off the morning haze, revealing the city in sharp relief. Somewhere out there, my parents are probably getting ready for their retail shifts. Madison is in a federal facility, counting down 8 years in a 6x8 cell. I should feel triumph. Or guilt. Or something more dramatic than this quiet, settled peace. But I don't need drama anymore. I don't need validation from people who never valued me. I don't need to prove anything to anyone except myself. My phone buzzes with a calendar reminder. 10 a.m., site visit to Gray Box facility for DoD contract renewal. I gather my things and head for the elevator. As I wait for it to arrive, I catch my reflection in the polished steel doors. The woman looking back at me is 30 years old, successful by any metric that matters, and completely, finally free from the weight of family obligation. The elevator arrives with a soft chime. I step inside, and the doors close on the old version of myself, the one who threw parties to prove she didn't need anyone, the one who answered every call from her parents hoping this time would be different, the one who measured her worth by other people's approval. That version of Natasha Hill is gone. This version built empires in the dark and let her enemies destroy themselves in the light. This version knows that the best revenge isn't cruelty, it's success so complete, so undeniable, that the people who underestimated you have no choice but to live with the consequences of their own choices. As the elevator descends toward the lobby, toward another day of building and protecting and succeeding on my own terms, I allow myself the smallest smile, not because my family suffered, but because I survived them. And surviving, I learned, is just the beginning of becoming someone they could never diminish again.